Hello again. This is Chapter 7 of 30 Years a Watchtower Slave, William Schnell. The chapter heading is Sifting, and the subhead is Conform or Else. Occasionally I returned to Berlin to visit my friends and my parents. Coming back, I would only find that, as elsewhere, the policy of the Watchtower Society was creating havoc in the Berlin congregation. Many respected elders were forced to resign under a cloud of unfaithfulness, while others were shoved into the background. I could tell every time I returned that a new and younger group was gaining ascendancy with the Society's help, while the old-timers were being pushed out whenever they refused to adhere to time and book reporting using the Society's forms. At the same time, an organizational change was being effected. Service directors were being appointed by the Society. For a while they were merely the helpers of the presiding elder of the congregation, but soon the service director gained the greater influence, as the Society would address all mail and company matter to him rather than to the presiding elder. This was done on the premise that the service director was the servant of the Society, whereas the presiding elder was the servant of the congregation. In this manner, the service director became established and recognized as the official representative of the Watchtower Society. Finally, in 1927, most elders were pushed into a corner or out of the congregation entirely, and the service directors took over completely. Gradually, they got other servants added to the official family within the congregation. Of course, we should note that 1927 is also the year that Rutherford gets rid of Russell as the faithful and discreet slave. While this process was being insidiously advanced, the service director would continue to receive all instructions from Magdeburg headquarters, which in turn came from Brooklyn. Gradually, the climate of the congregation would change until the desired organization was complete. Such, like myself, who were young and aggressive and mechanically loyal, were usually appointed to the position of service director, and in performing our tasks we often carried them out ruthlessly, without regard to gray hair and venerable service of the past. We were trained to lead in this hatchet work by moving in directly and pushing or forcing our elders or betters out, without regard to Christian ethics and brotherly love. In this manner, and to my everlasting shame, I was used in a middle German town where there was a congregation of 175 Bible students who would not accept a service director, nor would report time or carry out Watchtower Society instructions. I was sent there from Magdeburg, a mere stripling of 21 years of age, with the full backing of the Watchtower Society to make that congregation toe the line, and with specific instructions to split them up if they would not come round. Confronting me were men whose hair had grown gray in the Lord's service, fine Christian elders, and I, a mere youth, overrode their objections peremptorily by asking the congregation, after an hour's discourse, who is in favor of the Watchtower Society. Upon receiving no answer, I took it upon myself to brand the members of that congregation as evil servants, and asked all in favor of the Watchtower Society to rise and follow me out of that hall. 8 of the 175 assembled followed me out, and we repaired to the home of one of the brothers, and there organized a new congregation. I, of course, became the service director. To back me up in this arbitrary action, the Society gave me carte blanche, that is, full power, allowing me to use 3 truckloads of publishers brought in from Magdeburg every Sunday, although this was some 100 kilometers distant. Soon, with such pressure behind it, this new congregation was as large as the old one had been. But what a difference in the personnel, and in the spirit of the personnel. No longer were there gentle Christian men and women in here, but purposeful, energetic book salesmen and publishers, out to make their mark. In similar fashion, this purge was carried out ruthlessly throughout the land, and finally a new concept of congregation emerged. The service director, who represented the Society, gradually attained first place in the congregation as the Society's instructions multiplied, with the elders being relegated more and more to the back seat to take care of spiritual matters only. Gradually the elders lost that responsibility too, as the Society, through their mouthpiece, the Watchtower magazine, became the teacher for the classes. Finally, the society, in one stroke, through a Watchtower article, eliminated the position of elder in the congregations. That was done, so they said, because election of elders was unscriptural. Actually, it was done to end control of congregations from the local level and to usher in a top-down theocratic arrangement from the control tower in Brooklyn. However, in some congregations, especially in the larger ones, it was not so easy to make the elders toe the line or push them into a back seat, but the society could handle them. In such cases, they were surrounded with unwanted assistants, who invariably were society boys, and then gradually they would be superseded in the carrying out of many details contrary to their wishes and under special instructions from Magdeburg. Since the society gave these assistants prerogatives and placed its stamp of approval on putting headquarters dictated policies and practices publicly into effect, the assistants were brought favorably to the attention of the congregation, and their emergence in positions assigned them specially by the society tended to make the elders look more or less discredited by implication. Those and their number was increasing as new ones came constantly into the local congregations or local organizations who were more or less in favor with the society's new system and aims would begin to voice their preference for these new assistants over the elders. Often in a quite unkindly way, they would say, "Why doesn't so-and-so step down and let someone who can do the work?" Naturally, that caused friction. The friends of these elders who had been a long time in the truth resented the way these older brethren were being treated and complained bitterly to the society. But in this way, they were playing unwittingly right into the hands of the society, for these complaints revealed those in the congregation who were to be eliminated. Many congregations round about Magdeburg, whose elders were uncooperative, were inveigled to ask the office for help in conducting their meetings. The Bethel office honored such requests for all congregations within a radius of 150 kilometers. Next time, sifting at Bethel. I'll put in a link to who are Jehovah's Witnesses prophets? This is a question that needs to be asked, since, of course, we're told, if we're Jehovah's Witness loyalists, that we have a prophet class. We don't have prophets. But the prophets in Israel were critics. They were outside-the-box critics of what you now call God's ancient organization. So what corresponds to that in the Watchtower? This particular link is on the theocratic organization of ancient times included critics who, according to the Watchtower itself, were lovingly sent by Jehovah. See you next time.